Tonight, Los Angeles braces for fierce winds. How new dangerous conditions could impact the efforts to contain the blazes.
We're making urgent preparations.
Plus, as the death toll rises, we remember those killed. Tonight, the search for missing loved ones.
There just aren't words to describe how horrific it was.
On the brink, our new reporting on a possible ceasefire and hostage release as President Biden delivers his final foreign policy address.
We're working urgently to close this deal.
And confirmation hearings for President-elect Donald Trump's cabinet picks are set to get underway. What you need to know. The CBS Evening News starts now. Good evening, I'm Nora O'Donnell, and as we come on the air, there are new risks tonight in Southern California as worsening conditions threaten the progress that firefighters are making in combating those devastating wildfires. The National Weather Service is issuing an ominous PDS warning. That means particularly dangerous situation, and it's all because Santa Ana winds are expected to bring gusts as high as 70 miles per hour. Now, why is this so concerning? Well, the alert level is the same as it was last Tuesday when those hurricane-force winds whipped up the Palisades and Eaton fires. At least 24 people have died in those blazes, and more than 12,000 homes, businesses, and other structures were destroyed. The fires have burned nearly 40,000 acres, an area nearly the size of Washington, D.C. Tonight, we have a team of correspondents across the fire zone, and we'll begin with CBS's Jonathan Vigliotti on the investigation into what sparked these fires. Good evening, Jonathan. I understand you have new information tonight.
And good evening, Nora. Residents of Pacific Palisades recorded videos of a New Year's Eve fire on the hillside behind me. While the source of the Palisades fire is still unconfirmed, CBS News has analyzed maps, photos, and videos to link the Palisades fire to the very same location.
As the Palisades fire roared back to life this weekend, there's renewed focus on what may have caused the massive blaze that's destroyed thousands of structures. CBS News has obtained video of this 8-acre blaze on New Year's Eve. It's in the same area where the Palisades fire later ignited. Firefighters noted the connection.
The foot of the fire started real close to where the last fire was on New Year's Eve.
Officials said they have not ruled out whether embers from the New Year's Eve fire sparked back up. In the first hour of the Palisades fire, we reported from near the same location. Today, we found the scene surrounded by police tape. It's happened before. The Maui fire that destroyed Lahaina was sparked by a wildfire that was declared out 6 hours earlier. And this fire, the most destructive in Colorado history, began when a small fire reignited after 6 days. 1,000 structures were destroyed. Now, with potentially destructive winds starting again, LA officials are warning residents, be prepared to leave immediately. But the city has not issued any new guidelines, even after last week's chaotic evacuations.
Ahead of this latest event, you have businesses that are proactively closing, essentially treating this event like it was a hurricane or a blizzard. If they are taking those steps, why are you not implementing broader closures right now to keep your constituents safe?
We are doing everything we can to keep Angelenos safe. If there is a need for closures, that will be done. But right now, we are in preparation for tomorrow.
That preparation includes a massive influx of boots on the ground. More than 15,000 firefighters are now in place, compared to fewer than 1,500 when the fires started.
All fire departments and all law enforcement agencies in the area will be prepared.
And that preparation has already paid off with an all-out aerial assault over the weekend of water and flame retardant. We saw only one home burn, but so many others were saved.
And wind gusts are expected to exceed 70 miles per hour. That's enough to fan any hotspot, and there are many of them, into a massive blaze, Nora.
Jonathan Vigliotti, thank you for your tireless reporting. And while wind conditions allow, more than 80 planes and helicopters are being used to battle the Southern California wildfires. Military aircraft have flown in to help from Canada, Nevada, Wyoming, and Colorado. Tonight, CBS's Rob Marciano shows us the impact of fighting fire from the sky.
The aerial attack to beat back the wildfires is now at a critical stage. As Santa Ana winds return, new fires could explode. The attack from above is crucial to knock down any blaze, and more large aircraft have arrived on scene. These C-130 military transport planes have been modified specifically to fight wildfires.
On this C-130, the door where paratroopers normally would jump out of the aircraft has been modified with this giant water cannon.
Blasting out 3,000 gallons of water in just 5 seconds. They also dropped red fire retardant, which now coats some LA neighborhoods. Canadian-made amphibious aircraft known as Super Scoopers, able to scoop up 1,600 gallons in one 12-second skim off the Pacific Ocean and dump it on the flames. Lieutenant Colonel Laura Jeffrey is a pilot with the Wyoming Air National Guard.
You're trying to get as close to the flames as you can.
Correct. We're 150 feet off the ground.
150 feet. That sounds very dangerous to me with this sort of load.
It is. It's very dangerous. This is the most dangerous flying that we do.
Rotary aircraft can get even closer to the flames.
This is one of CAL FIRE's newer helicopters. It's a modified Black Hawk that can hold up to 1,000 gallons of water, fly day or night. It is essential to fighting fire. But as these winds ramp up, it's not going anywhere.
CAL FIRE's Zach Boyce coordinates flight ops during the mission.
You ever feel pressure from the ground where they need your help and you can't?
I think there's always pressure. I think we want to get out there and support the guys on the ground as much as we can, but we also need to have a good safety sense in mind.
They want to get out there, but the threshold is more than just wind. It's terrain, it's turbulence. Certainly the fixed-wing aircraft, like the ones behind me, are a little bit more stable. There are 8 of these specialized C-130s from across 4 states, and they are all here in one place. That is unprecedented, and even they may be grounded if the winds get high enough. Let's talk about that. We've got the red flag warning that you mentioned, a PDS warning in this area in Ventura as well, from Santa Barbara all the way down to San Diego. Tomorrow's going to be a dangerous day, and the winds will be building. We've already seen 30, 40-plus mile-an-hour winds here. We'll see them continue to build to 50, 60, maybe even 70 miles an hour by about noontime tomorrow. Couple that with low levels of humidity, and we're talking about not just critical fire danger, but extremely critical fire weather danger here in Ventura and northern parts of Los Angeles County. It has been a long week, but the next 24 hours, once again, are going to be very dangerous across Southern California.
Frightening situation, Rob Marciano. Thank you very much. At least 24 people have died in these fires so far, including these 6 victims. And as their loved ones deal with the agony of loss, there are other families suffering from the agony of the unknown. Nearly 24 people are missing, most from the site of the Eaton fire. CBS's Elise Preston reports.
Amid the devastation, authorities are carrying out the grim task of searching for those who died.
Unfortunately, every day we're doing this, we're running across the remains of individual community members.
The days have been agonizing for families of the missing, including those looking for Miva Friedli.
We want to find her.
Family members say they have not heard from the 86-year-old mother and grandmother who immigrated to the U.S. from Costa Rica and has lived in the same Altadena home for 50 years. Betty Brown is her niece.
You're calling people and checking and see where they are?
We just started calling people and everybody was okay, and then all of a sudden we realized, wait a minute, where's Miva? What happened to Miva?
The large, close-knit family lives within blocks of each other. Her nephew, Victor Wheatley, went to see if his aunt was okay during the initial moments of the fire, never imagining flames would sweep through the community.
What was the last thing she said to you when you went to go check on her?
She was just so appreciative that we came and how much she loved us. And if I had known what I know now, I would have gotten her out the house.
Frantic relatives say they've been looking everywhere for Miva, even in the rubble where her house once stood.
You're just trying to find this person and you're seeing nothing. You're seeing a lot of ash, a lot of smoke, a lot of stuff, but no person.
We want to find her.
Yeah.
And there's a hopeful way, and then there's a way of reality, but we need to know.
The family has lost 7 homes in the fire, and it's displaced 21 relatives. But they can't even focus on those losses until they know what happened to their loved one. Nora?
Well, just heartbreaking. Elise Preston, thank you so much. Turning now to the Middle East, today President Biden said a temporary ceasefire deal for Gaza is on the brink of being finalized as negotiations continue in Qatar. Senior Israeli officials tell CBS News they've agreed to a 6-week truce. 33 of their hostages would be released, as would some Palestinians now held in Israeli jails. The Israeli military would establish a buffer zone in southern Gaza for security purposes. Hamas leadership has yet to sign off on the deal. The president's comments on Gaza comes as he aims to improve his image and tout his foreign policy achievements. President Biden said America is stronger now on the global stage than it was 4 years ago. Here's CBS's Ed O'Keefe.
President Biden today claimed the country's stronger because of his work to expand NATO, support Ukraine, withdraw U.S. forces from Afghanistan, and take on China.
These wins are not partisan. They're American. They benefit all Americans.
Word of a potential ceasefire in Gaza would help resolve one of the major remaining challenges of the Biden years.
I have learned in many years of public service to never, ever give up.
It's a sign of potential hope for a region mired in war and human suffering since the October 7, 2023 Hamas attack on Israel. More than 46,000 Palestinians have been killed, according to the Hamas-run Palestinian Ministry of Health.
Palestinian people deserve peace and the right to determine their own futures. Israel deserves peace and real security.
The conflict jolted the presidential campaign, with many progressive Democrats upset Biden continued to send arms to Israel, while also complaining about their aggressive military tactics. The president discussed the latest deal with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Sunday, and President-elect Trump's aides have now joined the talks in the region. He's demanding the release of the hostages before his inauguration.
If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East.
Today, Biden acknowledged his legacy, especially in the Middle East and Ukraine, may now be shaped by Trump.
My administration is leaving the next administration with a very strong hand to play. And we're leaving them in America with more friends and stronger alliances.
In his remarks on Afghanistan, the president only briefly mentioned the 13 U.S. service members who died in the suicide bombing at the Kabul airport during the withdrawal of U.S. forces, widely seen as one of the darkest moments of his presidency. Nora?
Ed O'Keefe at the White House. Thank you, Ed. In just 7 days, Donald Trump begins his second term as president. And there's a flurry of activity this week at the Capitol as confirmation hearings begin for a dozen of his picks for top jobs. CBS's Nancy Cordes reports on one nomination that's facing trouble.
I'm 110% behind Pete Hegseth.
In the Senate version of a pep rally, Alabama Republican Tommy Tuberville sought to boost Pete Hegseth's chances today, praising him alongside some former Navy SEALs.
Pete is definitely, that breath of fresh air when it comes to the Department of Defense.
Tomorrow, the former Fox News host will undergo a grilling by members of the Senate Armed Services Committee who want to know more about allegations of past excessive drinking, sexual misconduct, and financial mismanagement at a pair of veterans groups from which he was let go. Democrats are pushing for access to the FBI's background check on Hegseth. So far, as per tradition, that information has only been shared with committee leaders.
I'm told that they may well not have interviewed his ex-spouses or the accuser. I think that is a gap in the FBI report, if true.
Hegseth has denied any sexual misconduct.
The matter was fully investigated, and I was completely cleared.
And says he won't drink at all if confirmed.
Does he have your vote for tomorrow?
Oh, he does, unless there's something that comes up that we don't know.
He is one of a dozen Trump picks who have hearings scheduled over the next 3 days. Some, like Florida Senator Marco Rubio, up for Secretary of State, are expected to sail through.
Here in Florida today, a federal judge cleared the way for the release of part of special counsel Jack Smith's report. The report details the investigation into Trump's alleged efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 election. Nora?
Nancy Cordes, thank you. The frightening close call between two planes, that's next. Tonight, we're learning details of a terrifying close call between two passenger jets over Phoenix on Saturday. CBS News has learned alarms sounded in both cockpits. CBS's Chris Van Cleve is at Washington's Reagan National Airport. And Chris, how does this happen?
Well, Nora, the FAA is trying to figure that out tonight. We know it was a United 737 and a much larger Delta A330. Both were about to land in Phoenix when their collision avoidance systems alarmed. Here's what it sounded like on air traffic control audio.
Left to 100, we do have runway 8 in sight, cleared.
United 1724, respond.
Delta Flight 1070 from Detroit with 245 passengers on board received an alert to take immediate evasive action, as did United Flight 1724 with 129 people aboard coming in from San Francisco. At their closest points, they were about 425 feet apart vertically, and seconds later were less than a quarter of a mile horizontally, according to preliminary flight data from Flight Radar 24. Now, the FAA is investigating. They confirm this close call, saying they are looking into what amounts to a loss of required separation between the aircraft, Nora.
Frightening indeed. All right, Chris Van Cleve, thank you. Eye on America is next, looking into the link between severe weather and wildfires. Our Eye on America tonight digs into the connection between extreme weather and natural disasters. 2024 was the hottest year on record. Now, not even 2 weeks into the new year, we're watching strong winds and extremely dry conditions fuel historic wildfires that are destroying large swaths of Los Angeles. Tonight, CBS's Tom Hansen has a look at what this current disaster tells us about future threats.
Gotta get out of here. It's an all too familiar scene by now. People running for their lives from unrelenting flames.
We never really been evacuated, but we figured it was gonna just kind of blow over. It blew over all right.
Crystal Scott grew up playing in the picturesque San Gabriel Mountains. Her childhood home at their base was one of thousands destroyed in the Eaton fire.
We're very devastated because our families worked hard to put us here.
And while it's a realization of a dream, it's also highly problematic, as urban sprawl has crept into previously wild areas.
I think a lot of it has to do with global warming. We did once upon a time have 4 seasons, and all that stopped.
These neighborhoods tucked in the foothills of Los Angeles could have survived this weather whiplash, but with climate change, the rainy seasons are more intense, the dry seasons last longer. In fact, the last time Los Angeles saw even an inch of rain was around Easter of last year, and long-term weather models don't call for any rain coming here anytime soon. Could this have been prevented?
No.
UCLA professor Stephanie Pincel points to a history of intense fires in the West. Ma'am, you have to evacuate. Yeah, we are. 3 years ago, the Marshall Fire near Denver snaked down a hill, growing from a grass fire into the most destructive in Colorado's history, incinerating more than 1,000 suburban homes. And in 2013, the Yarnell Hill Fire in Arizona killed 19 elite firefighters who were trying to protect homes just down the mountain.
We're still thinking that as humans, we can overpower nature. Well, we're not quite that powerful.
These fires all have one thing in common. They take place at the wildland-urban interface, a technical term for where humans have overstepped into nature. A third of all American homes exist in this type of space. Is there anybody who can be held accountable?
Suburban sprawl? How about that?
Is this in any way a winnable firefight?
No. Why would we even think that way? Winning means we're still trying to dominate natural patterns. We cannot win over nature ultimately.
Do you think that if this can happen here, it can happen anywhere?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Which begs the ultimate question of if these communities can rise from the ashes and how to rebuild when the flames are bound to come back. For Eye on America, Tom Hansen, Los Angeles.
How you can help LA fire victims when we come back. Finally tonight, Americans are opening their hearts to those who've lost everything in the Los Angeles fires. Over the weekend, the parking lot at the Santa Anita racetrack was transformed. Look at this as thousands showed up to donate supplies. The track is not far from the Eaton fire. They offered carloads of food and baby supplies. Volunteers left a mountain of bottled water, all free of charge. And there were piles of shirts and pants for people who were forced to flee with only the clothes on their back. One volunteer said she couldn't give much money, but she could give time. If you'd like to help, go to cbsnews.com/LA Fires. And thanks to everyone for helping. That's tonight's CBS Evening News. I'm Nora O'Donnell. Good night.